Today I'll walk you through step by step how to check and adjust your automation schedules in Make, so you always know exactly when your scenarios are running and how to change them whenever your needs evolve. Make, formerly known as Integromat, is one of the most powerful no-code automation platforms available, and mastering its scheduling system is the key to keeping your workflows reliable and perfectly timed. If this is the kind of content you find useful, please hit that like button and subscribe. It truly helps the channel grow. And let's get right into it. To get started, you need to open the scenario you want to work with. Head into your Make account and navigate to your scenarios list, then click on the specific scenario you want to inspect or modify. This drops you into the scenario editor, which is Make's main visual workspace, the canvas where all your modules and connections live. Getting comfortable in the scenario editor is worth your time because almost every action you'll ever take in Make, from building connections to tweaking logic, happens right here. Take a moment to orient yourself before moving on. Once you're inside the scenario editor, direct your attention to the bottom control bar, the horizontal strip running along the very bottom of the screen. This bar is where Make surfaces the most critical controls for your scenario, including the on/off toggle that activates or deactivates your automation. Right next to that toggle, you'll find the schedule panel. It typically shows a short text description of the current schedule, something like every 15 minutes or every day at 9 a.m. This is your at-a-glance view of when the scenario is set to run, and it's one of the first things you should check anytime you open a scenario you didn't build yourself or haven't touched in a while. Schedules can easily be forgotten or left on a temporary setting. To view or change the schedule, click directly on that schedule text. It's a clickable label, not just a display, so a single click opens the scheduling dialog. This modal window is where all the real configuration happens. Inside, you'll see several different scheduling modes to choose from. The most common is at regular intervals, which lets you set Make to run the scenario every X minutes or every X hours. Ideal for scenarios that need to process fresh data continuously, like syncing a form with a spreadsheet or monitoring a support inbox. But you also have options for more specific timing. You can schedule runs on particular days of the week, set a precise time of day, or even choose on demand, which means the scenario only fires when manually triggered or called by a webhook. Choosing the right mode depends entirely on your use case. A report that only needs to go out on Monday mornings doesn't need to run every 15 minutes. Running it unnecessarily frequently burns through your Make operation count, which directly affects your plan limits. Always match the frequency to what the workflow actually demands, and when in doubt, err on the side of less frequent. Once you've configured the timing, confirm your changes and close the dialog. Your new schedule saves immediately and takes effect the next time the scenario is due to run. You don't need to republish or reactivate anything. As long as the scenario is switched on, Make respects the new timing automatically. Speaking of the on/off toggle, this brings us to a genuinely useful feature sitting right alongside it: the next planned run display. Once a schedule is active and your scenario is turned on, Make shows you the exact date and time of the next scheduled execution directly beside the toggle. This is invaluable for confirming that your automation is live and correctly timed. If something looks off, say the next run is hours away when you expected it to fire in minutes, that's your cue to go back into the scheduling dialog and double check your settings. Never assume a scenario is running correctly just because it's switched on. Always verify that next runtime as a quick sanity check before walking away. The other side of schedule management is understanding what has already happened. To review past runs, look to the right-hand panel of the scenario editor and click the History tab, which appears as a clock or hourglass icon depending on your Make version. This opens a detailed log of every execution the scenario has completed, with information including the start time, duration, number of operations consumed, and whether the run succeeded, partially succeeded, or failed. Reviewing your run history regularly is one of the best habits you can build as a Make user. It lets you catch silent failures, runs that completed without a red error flag but didn't process the data you expected, and gives you concrete evidence if a client or colleague asks why an automation didn't fire on time. If you do see a red entry in the history, click it to expand the full error details. Make logs failures at the individual module level so you can pinpoint exactly where the breakdown occurred and fix it surgically rather than guessing. You've now covered everything you need to confidently manage scheduling in Make, from opening the scheduling dialog and selecting the right frequency to confirming the next planned run and digging into your execution history. These aren't just housekeeping steps. They're the habits that separate automations that quietly break from workflows you can genuinely trust. Save this video or add it to a playlist so you can come back to these steps anytime you're configuring a new scenario or troubleshooting an existing one. And if you have questions or there's a specific Make feature you'd like me to cover next, drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and your feedback directly shapes what we build next.